welcome. Welcome to the Altura Podcast. We're actually in the garage of my house. I'm Adrian Huerta, 1/4 of Altura. I'm here with two amazing people, friends that I've known forever, that finally have an exhibit. They have an art show going on at Altura. We have Summer Bernal and one of the artists, Sek. So, hi guys.
Hello.
Welcome to the Altura Podcast in my garage.
Possum.
Oh, there's
it's
a possum.
So cute. It's like, aw, it's trying to get out of
It's
the
like,
rain.
oh,
Bye.
though.
So, if you hear stuff in the background or you hear us talking about certain things, it's because it's raining right now. We're outside and inside. We're under the cover in the garage with the garage door open. So we see possums. We hear rain. You might hear some helicopters. But also that's just El Sereno, and it feels nice to kind of hear that stuff sometimes.
And I'm sorry, I just have ADD, so I'm like, squirrel.
It's home.
The reason you two are here and talking on the Altura Podcast, we have an exhibit going on. Summer Bernal was nice enough to lend her amazing skills and her curation to the space. You brought in three amazing artists, and we're going through for what we've been through it about 2 weeks. We got about 2 more weeks left. Thank you, first of all, for doing this. I mean, we've known each other for a very long time, and the idea that we get to work like this is phenomenal. You know, why Altura, and why is it beauty and fear, and why the aspect of duality?
It was a good approach and time in my life. And when you asked me if I would put a show together, I was reading something. I get random emails, like spam email. And there's this email I get from this woman, Maria Popova. She has this thing called Brain Pickings, and now it's called The Marginalin. And she was talking about beauty and terror.
Okay.
So when you hit me up, I thought, oh, that's an interesting subject. And I had just worked on a show with Sek, and it was called Chaos Growth.
From Chaos
Growth. And so we had done that, and it just seemed fitting at the time to have an exhibit that was focused on the duality of so much that we've been through in the last couple of years, you know, and throughout my life, but very specifically in 2020 and 2021. So I got this email, I saw beauty and terror, and I thought, okay, let's make it that.
Is there anything from the email specifically that kind of caught your attention, or was it just the title of?
Well, it was the title and talking about how you can't really experience one thing without the other. I mean, you go through life and you experience, joy, but you experience the opposite of that. And I think that's really important to be able to manage both and to understand the balance of it.
I mean, duality in the dictionary is said to be an instance of opposition or contrast between two concepts or two aspects of something. Mm-hmm. A dualism. Sek, you have a couple pieces in there.
Yeah.
From a previous show, but also not a sculpture, but an installation.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you fit in this, and where does that mindset fit in? I mean, you had the pieces before, but then how do they fit into this one?
I think the topics were very close. Summer approached me about it and asked me to do the show, and she told me the title. I said, this is perfect, because the pieces themselves were actually supposed to represent kind of like the same thing, this kind of chaotic part of my life, my past, and this kind of like also very beautiful growth that came from it. So so these pieces themselves were just right on the money with what she wanted to do and put together. So it's just like I said, from my past, like the chaos, the growing up in where I grew up in Lincoln Heights, and then also dealing with like a lot of crazy stuff, situations that I put myself in, but then also seeing myself grow in a way that I didn't expect myself to grow either.
I mean, you're like street artist by I guess by nature.
Yeah. Me and my friends used to just do stupid shit all the time, and it was like I said, it was an act of, for me it was an act of rebellion, like we were, had this like punk mindset where we weren't gonna let people tell us what to do, and we weren't gonna kind of like follow these like cookie cutter lines or whatever. We weren't trying to fit in anybody's like box or world, and this was also something that kind of amped us up to be like, okay, this is us. We're leaving something behind or something. Except for my friends were really more into like leaving their names behind, and when I was growing up, I was just like, I don't know, man, like that seems like I just couldn't. I loved tagging my name, but I also wanted to leave something else behind that people would remember me by, not just by my name. So I used to write random shit all the time. My friends hated it because they were just like, dude, you're taking forever, and we just want to get the fuck out of here.
Right.
I was like,
well, I mean, and now you're taking even more forever.
Yeah.
Considering that you do paintings now, you do. You do fine art. You do, installations and extravagant pieces, more thought out.
Yeah.
Stuff. I mean, that's in contrast, right, to what you used to do before, which was, we got to hit this up really quick and we got to go because we're gonna get fucked up right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely a duality in my life as well. It's the chaos and like the adrenaline you get from that, or just this sense of like, oh, we're not supposed to be doing this and we need to hurry up or whatever, is contrast to like just being in the studio and being able to take my time and being more intimate with the work and the message and everything like that. Graffiti now has become more of something that I do to like, I mean, it's a habit that you can't kick. It's like an addiction, as most people would say. It's cliche, but it is. It's the first thing I think of when I'm traveling or whenever I go somewhere. I'm like, there's no cameras here. I was like, can I get away with this? And like, it's just, the act of accomplishing something and getting away with it. And it's also something that I just kind of do whenever I feel stuck. I get I need that rush. It's like a drug. You just need that high to kind of like get your mind working in a different way.
Well, it's that creative idea that where even though you're not creating your best work, you should just create something just to kind of kickstart.
Yeah.
Something that could be great.
Yeah. And it's also, like I said, and it's nice because I get to like, I love walking at night. I mean, I have a hard time sleeping. I've always had a hard time sleeping, me and my friends. So for me, it's like, I love walking at night and like, getting lost and just just being out there, and the painting is something that like I love doing as well. It's like I said, that pressure always like helps me reboot when I'm stuck, when I feel like I can't process things or translate things into a painting,
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we have all those issues as creatives, as artists. We get stuck sometimes.
Yeah,
we do those things, but not being an artist with you, Summer, necessarily, is this your way of expressing that idea, like the idea of duality, by getting other people's mindsets and their ideas of what duality is to them and expressing that?
I see a lot of life as art. So when I think of curatorial work and producing, it is an art form, and we forget that so much is art. So yeah, I get to experience and express what I want through other people, and I get to help make that vision happen. So
I mean, it's well thought out though. I was there for the installation. I mean, you're amazing at what you do.
For real. Yeah.
I mean, to me,
Thank
like
you.
that by itself is an art form in its own. But I mean, obviously, it's the behind the scenes stuff. But the way you laid out Altura, I was impressed with. You came through a couple times to kind of tour the spot. You've been there a couple times for some of our past events, but the idea that you came in and just kind of took it as your own, I was just impressed with. And also, we've never done that before.
It's such an intimate space. So I think when you told me originally about it, to have the space, I thought, okay, let's make this work. And then once I thought about it, it made sense. And usually that's what happens with shows is you see the space, I know the work, I'm getting to know the artists. Sek I know more intimately than Viktor and Pavel, but it was more about how can I make this work? And I'm not one to want to cram work into spaces. It's about the feeling and will this work and the concept, and the show will come together. Like we can document it, we could talk about it, experience it, and it is what it is, versus let's just put 100 pieces in one space. So let's really focus on the feeling of it. And that's, you guys allowed me to do that. So.
And we appreciate it.
So
really.
We have an intimate and beautiful little exhibition that, means a lot.
with it being intimate and one of those spaces that we try to make it part of the community. You two have ties to Lincoln Heights. Live down the street, born and raised.
Well, yeah. Sek was born and raised.
Right. But when you were like, "Oh, come to my house so we can pick up the art," I was like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna have to fucking drive." And then you give me the address, and I was like, "Man, you're literally like 5 blocks down and to the left." I was like, "I could do this." Done.
Yeah.
But I mean, what does that mean to you to have your own art in Lincoln Heights? I mean, you got Plaza.
Yeah.
Plaza's great. They do great work. There's a couple of other art spaces around Lincoln Heights, but not necessarily in. How much of to have your artwork in there, born and raised in Lincoln Heights.
So it's crazy. I always said that I said that eventually I would want to have a show back in Lincoln Heights. So when I was 19, me and my friends ran a gallery on Broadway, right by Broadway and I want to say Sitchell or something like that. It's by the CVS somewhere over there. That was the very first time I've ever painted on a canvas. And then also like we ran our own gallery and we were shitheads back then. We kind of used the space to party and throw gigs and we had fun. We were 19,
you were 19 you're
with like a fucking giant warehouse.
Right. Yeah,
and like what else are we going to, we were good at a few things. One, we were good at painting and going out and fucking terrorizing the city. 2, we were good at throwing parties. And 3, and gigs. And 3, we were good at selling drugs. So we took care of all that. You gave us a space and we can run all 3 aspects. That's what we were going to do, And but after that, after we lost that because of obviously we got shut down by the cops, I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna do anything in Lincoln Heights, especially because there's like a saying like a prophet is never welcomed or loved in his own city. And it just kind of felt like, okay, I'm not going to do stuff here. And also because I didn't want my mom seeing any of my artwork. I also don't tag Lincoln Heights just because I just don't shit where I eat. And also I don't want to see my name in my neighborhood. I have a thing with like, my neighborhood and coming home, that's peace. This is where I come home to rest. But it's crazy that this was the first gallery. This is literally the first show or any first time I show work in Lincoln Heights this way.
You're older now.
Yeah.
Different mindset.
Yeah, different mindset.
So you're not selling drugs out of Altura. Oh, you're not? Are you? Are you selling drugs?
Oh,
out of Altura?
you weren't told.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that business later.
I just want my cut. I don't give a shit. Yeah, go ahead. But you're older now. You're not really
different
selling drugs
mindset.
out of places.
And then also, it feels like now I'm coming back to what I was, and the show From Chaos, Growth. It has a lot to do with like flowers and florals and plants and stuff, and it has to do with like roots and rhythms and coming back to what I was rooted in, and understanding and seeing that through different eyes now that I've been outside of the country and outside of LA and Lincoln Heights. Coming back now feels a little bit more appropriate, and I actually want to get more involved, especially because I see Lincoln Heights changing, and I just want to make sure that I'm a part of that change in some way, and that nobody I just want to make sure it's like not just gentrification, it's also it's integration. That's the difference between like keeping cultures alive in LA it's not you have to integrate the people that were already living there. And being from there, I feel like I can easily integrate the people that I knew and I grew up with, and also be some kind of representative of that.
Right.
So.
Because most people, a lot of people leave their space and try to go find
a new home.
Right.
No, don't get me wrong. I that was definitely my mindset. Like that was my mindset when I was growing up. I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here and like live somewhere else, because I love my hometown and it's always gonna be home to me. But I think I just needed something different, and then being outside, I think I appreciate more now how I grew up, and because times are different. We're never gonna get that experience again. Lincoln Heights is never gonna get the experience that we got when we were growing up, for sure. It's just always gonna be different,
Right.
So yeah, it's seeing it through different eyes, and I'm happy that I was able to show in your space, and Summer was able to curate this in Lincoln Heights.
You're down the street in Lincoln Heights. Is this your first show in Lincoln Heights?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Oh, you've done some
I'm-
stuff at
at
Plaza,
Plaza.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which they're technically Lincoln Heights,
Right.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Right. To watch art kind of progress outside of just the park.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're kind of helping with that. Do you see the same changes that Sek does? You know, being that you live here, and do you think this helps with integration?
I see it in a different way. Coming from Highland Park and now living in Lincoln Heights, I appreciate it because of things like Altura. Just, it's, if we want to change with the neighborhood, then we have to integrate. We have to be present and not take what outsiders do, but do something about what we want. It's a different perspective. I mean, I'm in the neighboring area, but if you want to see change, be a part of it.
And also, I think it's because we were around when Highland Park changed, like day to night. Like I remember, like my first solo show was in Highland Park in this gallery, 50/50, and I was actually squatting in the back of that gallery. I was staying in the back, painting and sleeping there, and they had like these giant glass storefront window stuff. And seeing the change from seeing like, you know, people that were all fucked up, you know, high on meth, like walking the streets, till literally overnight seeing people walking their dog at like 3-4 in the morning when you couldn't do
Comfortably.
that.
Yeah.
And then seeing how fast that change took place and how crazy people were displaced from night and day. I was seeing people like pushing entire homes in like shopping carts, you know, trying to like figure out where they were gonna move next. And I think LA also learned like they can't move that fast. Like there has to be a set of regulations set so that doesn't happen. Because dude, a lot of people were. I was watching people getting kicked out of their house with families, and they were like, we have no fucking clue where we're going, you know.
Wow.
And it was just kind of sad to see, and sad because we didn't have any say in it. I felt like I couldn't do anything either because I grew up.
Well, it was also almost kind of new. Right?
Yeah.
Like you don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
The first thing you see, you're like, why are these people moving? Why is everybody moving at
Yeah.
this point?
Yeah, it was fucking crazy. I was like, what the fuck? And also, like, when the gallery owner had approached me the first time to be like, hey, I want to do a show with you, I was like, yeah, sure, where's the gallery? And they were like, oh, it's in Highland Park on York and 51st. And I was like, yeah, no, dude, I don't belong there right now.
Right.
Especially growing up, like, I mean, when I grew up, like, we had friends in Highland Park, but there was always some shit going on. So,
Right.
especially around that time. So I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know how your gallery is going to survive, but after visiting her gallery, I was like, holy shit, this place is changing like fast.
So when you talk about integration,
Yeah.
you know, what do you think could be done to integrate, to make it easier for people, to make people feel comfortable? People are going to move, like migration.
Yeah.
You know, migration and integration are, they should be hand in hand. It almost seems like it's, right now it seems like migration and fucking get the fuck out
Yeah.
kind of go together instead. What do you think can be done? You know, and is art the beginning of that? Could art be the beginning of that? Or does it go with like straight to like government?
You want to
I
take
mean,
that one? Yeah.
Kinda. I think it's important to work with the schools
Yeah.
and really talk to the community. I mean, if it's neighbors like 1 block, 2 blocks over, door to door, the way that you know, people used to sell vacuums or whatever they used to sell. But just letting them know that they're part of that change, because if they don't feel welcome, then that's when you get that resistance. But if it's in your space and you understand that there's growth and change happening, then you don't feel like an outsider when you're really part of what's happening.
Also, I think like it's a lot of the businesses that are moving in, they don't understand that, like they don't read the room. They don't cater to who was already there. Like the airliner, I remember I wanted to rent out or buy out the airliner with some friends, but somebody got to it first, and I was just like, all right, whatever, it's gonna be a bar, whatever. And I got invited to the opening, but none of the people that I knew from the neighborhood got invited. I think Gabby told me, it's like, yo, dude, they're having an opening. And apparently it was like all these people from Silver Lake, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go check it out. Literally,
What year is this?
this was like right before the pandemic, because they opened right
Oh,
before.
because they closed after all the low
Like
end stuff
2019,
happened.
Yeah.
2020.
So low end theory happens. It's over, and the bar's being sold.
Yeah.
And now it's time for a new owner to come in. So just before the pandemic, they sell it. They open it up, right?
And they have to close it again because of the pandemic.
Right.
But they had like a little opening, and literally it was people from Silver Lake or that kind of area, and then also the cocktails were like $20 or something like that. And I'm like, what the fuck? And they kept the name, which I'm glad they kept the name, because I don't think they understand the history of the airliner. The airliner for me, like, you know, going to like the Heist on Thursdays or punk shows there,
Or the metal shows.
or metal shows,
on
death metal.
Fridays.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got to meet a lot of like crazy people. Like it was a place where you didn't know who was gonna be there. You know, from Erykah Badu to I was there. I met Prince there. You know, it was wild. Like the history in that place, and I don't think they know that. But they, you know, like I said, they opened this bar that's not really accessible to the neighborhood, and it's not
As much as it used to be.
as it used to be. It's not as inviting to the neighborhood. Also, it's not like they're like trying to like, they have a clientele, and I understand that, but they also like, yeah, like I said, it's just crazy to see. I think the businesses need to keep in mind the people that live there, the residents that live there. They come from a different background, and they also come from a different economical and social, you know, background.
And that brings me to like Summer came through a couple days ago to pick up something that she left, and the one thing that she did was talk to the neighbors. Because if you've ever been to Altura is right at the corner of Griffin and Main, and then the building butts up right against a house, a duplex. And there was a senor picking oranges or something, right? And Summer was like, I'm gonna ask him about the cat. And then I hear Summer talking to him, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like the smallest thing that she could possibly do, but that's very inviting. You know,
I mean, we're neighbors. I mean, that's really important to me.
Yeah.
In
I
any
agree.
situation.
I agree.
You go somewhere and it's like, dude, just smile and feel the vibe, and you know.
I feel like that's what Lincoln Heights used to be, man. I used to walk around anywhere, and like at like the liquor stores, they knew me, they knew my family. You know, I'd walk down the block and there's people saying hi, how's your day going? Like, I feel like the neighbors, I mean, we kept to ourselves for sure. There was like this whole thing about like, if it's not your business, it's not your problem, just keep to yourself. But the one thing we did have is like a sense of community, and like knowing like, hey, how's your mom? Like, or hey, how's things going, you know? Right. And if there was something going on, it's like, hey, did you hear there's going to be this going on this weekend over here at this church or something? Or, you know, like kermeses used to be a thing back then, you know, where the community used to get together.
What was that?
Kermes?
What's that?
What? What? You know?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
God damn.
No.
Sorry.
Tell us.
So kermes was just like basically like you know, like a little church, little party / get together in the back where they had like loteria and you know, they had like little games, you know those quarter games where you throw it into a fish bowl, you win the fucking fish.
Right. and then it dies before
and
you
then
get
it
home.
dies. I was good at that game though. And then
Fish
there was
killer.
should probably not own those pets at that age. But yeah, they had, so it was like food, music, you know, performances, like, you know, what are they called, the folklorico dances and stuff like that. And then people selling, like vendors selling like little trinkets, like kind of like how literally a kermes was Avenue 26, but like on a smaller scale, like not a whole strip, just like a parking lot. But yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Dude, Lincoln Heights history right here, baby.
Yeah, dude. Like there was like, I think Sacred Heart had that. Maria Auxiliadora, like,
Oh, it was on Sacred. It was in Sacred Heart.
Yeah, they had one, and
at
then
the
this
school.
other church called Maria Auxiliadora or something like that. So, yeah, dude, that was like we look forward to that kind of stuff. That's when like my friends and I would be like, you know, for us it was like they sold those hollow eggshells with confetti in them, and we just bombed the shit out of each other.
Cascarones.
Yeah, cascarones or whatever. Yeah, so that we look forward to that every year. Like it happened twice a year, so we're just like, fuck yeah.
Highland Park, we missed out.
Yeah, bro, you guys don't know what's up. That's why we live in Lincoln Heights, bro. No,
So you're saying we should bring it back?
yeah,
at
we should.
Altura,
No,
right?
I'm telling you, man. Like if we do that, like it's just something. I want
Ready
to.
for days.
I definitely want to bring back a lot of the stuff that moving back into Lincoln Heights, and actually I'm actually considering probably, you know, running a business out of there, opening up something. I definitely want to. Okay, my dream is to get back the space that was taken from us as a gallery, and like reopening that gallery, and then kind of like working through that, because owning that gallery taught me a lot of things. One, I was not ready to run a fucking gallery or business, you know. I had no clue what the fuck I was doing, but every day was a new challenge, and especially from the city, because we were not paying rent. And the city was just like at my door every day going like, how did you get this space?
Right.
We could use it for something better. But it also like helped me like realize that the involvement we had with the community when we had our doors open, people would just walk in and be like, what is this place? And we would just be like, it's a gallery. You can pick up a canvas and some colors, paint, and then put your canvas on a wall somewhere. You if it sells, you make all the money, you know. But then we started running workshops for kids after school, and like
that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was.
Oh
it was
God.
the worst. It was that's
no wonder the city was knocking on your door.
They're just like, what the fuck? Like, you guys
we could do something way better than this.
Yeah, exactly. We can run a business out of this.
God.
No, for real. They were really like, yeah, we have so many people that would actually pay money. And I think that's one of the questions they asked me when they walked in. They were just like, it's like, so what do you do here? And I was like, we run a gallery. And they was like, okay, but what do you do? And I was like, I don't know. Like, we let people pay. And it's like, let me ask a better question. How do you make the city money? Do you pay taxes? Do you pay rent? Do you pay light? And I was like, no, it's a donated space. And they're just like, yeah, we can definitely find a business that would love to contribute to the city of Los Angeles. And I was like, what the and literally every day they were at the door going like finding ways to like, you know, have a shutdown. Eventually they did find a way, but it's fine. Like I said, we had our fun. But
so you want that back?
Definitely, I want it back. But whether it's that space or not, but I definitely want to come back and start working on stuff and like provide a space that was not as chaotic, but definitely something that people can like gravitate to and be like, oh yeah, this is Lincoln Heights history as well. So
Summer, I mean, being that you do have stuff in Lincoln Heights at Altura right now,
yeah.
It's a wall, but it's beautiful.
No,
and
yeah.
we appreciate you so much for lending your art to show to people.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's 3 other artists, right?
Yeah.
Summer, I mean, who else is involved, and why did you pick the other 2?
So Pavel, I installed his exhibition at Self Help Graphics, and he was just a great artist to work with that I wanted to get to know. And
okay, so Summer, back to you. There are other artists in the show at Altura, in Beauty and Fear. We got Sek's take. What is why everybody else? Where do they?
Sounds like you said sex tape.
I did.
Yes, my name reigns.
We got Sek's take.
Yeah,
sex tape.
Damn, that's never gonna get old.
Okay, so
say it again. Just say it again.
Sek's take.
So we
Sek's
got sex
take. We got Sek's take.
Okay.
On the art.
Now people are gonna look on the internet. What there's?
It's that stupid shitty vodka that we drink.
Fucking sandwiches, cake, and
lavender,
sex tapes.
and strawberry. I don't even know what I'm tasting anymore.
Stupid. It's like, what is this, honey?
I don't know. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that smells gnarly.
Right? It's insane. Summer Bernal.
Mm-hmm.
Unprofessional.
Me?
Yeah,
Why?
you're on Instagram,
Yeah, bro.
dude. What are you
We
doing?
need to,
I'm looking at the thing. What do you mean? It's our show. I'm looking right at
She
it.
forgot everybody's name.
It's like, who's in this show right now?
Wait,
Hold on.
who's
let
this
me
guy?
look at the
Oh, this
flyer.
is Sek right next to me. Got it.
All right.
Got it. You're Sek.
Who else
Okay.
was in this show?
So
I know who's in the show.
Are you going through
I
their Instagram
picked
to
them.
see what they?
I picked them.
I picked.
I picked them. So,
Ouch.
so you picked Pavel and Viktor
Uh-huh.
and Sek to kind of I think express your idea of duality.
Yeah, to
Beauty and
complement it.
So why them? I mean, we got Sek's take, but why the other 2?
I installed Pavel's exhibition. I was trying to look at the name because I don't remember the exact name. It's called The Shell in the Clouds, and it was at Self Help, and I installed the whole exhibition with him, and that was really beautiful. And I've worked with Viktor, but we've been getting to know each other. So when I thought of the exhibition, I was thinking visuals, but also the depth behind the work. And I'm still getting to know Pavel. So just by the visuals and the names of his pieces, it just made sense to me. It just was a feeling. I wanted to work with him, and it felt right. Usually with exhibitions, it's a relationship that I'm building with people, and I thought, okay, it's a group exhibition.
You don't know everybody like the way you know Sek,
no,
the way you know some artists.
but
some
I'm
of them
getting
are
to know
brand
them.
new.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, Pavel and Viktor are new relationships to me, but they're still important ones. I mean, Pavel, I installed his solo exhibition after his residency at Self Help Graphics, and we got to know each other a little bit, enough to be intimate with the work and to be trusted by him, to be able to talk to him and say, hey, I have this exhibition coming up, would you want to participate? And because of the subject matter, and I thought it all fit, it just flowed very nicely. I thought, okay, this is a great space, it's intimate, it's meaningful, and that's what I want to stick to. So that was how I approached Pavel, because I wanted to work with him, and he said yes right away. And Viktor I've been wanting to work with, and he's been wanting to work with me, and we hang out. Sometimes we go on little hikes, little 5-mile hikes.
Okay.
They kick my butt.
That's not little. That's a
Exactly.
5K?
Yeah.
Less than 5 miles.
That's what I try to tell him, and then I tell him I'm ready to quit, and he says, don't worry, I have an orange, and then he feeds me an orange, and we keep going.
Yo, don't
that's how he
trip. I
gets
got
me.
the vitamin C for you.
I'm like, dude, I'm done. And he says, Summer, what do you mean you're done? I'm like, I didn't eat breakfast today. He's like, I got an orange. I'm like, I guess then we're finishing this hike. But Viktor is very deep, and his work is very, it's duality. It's beauty and fear.
You pick these artists, you invite them with the idea. Like, you come up to them and you're saying, oh, that process. Hey, duality, beauty and fear. What do you have, and do we have enough, right? Because these are all collections.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you have 3 artists, but multiple pieces all within each wall. As a curator, I mean, what is that process like?
Well, with Sek, it was really working with his last exhibition and understanding his process and
his fit, right? His fit with the idea of duality.
It did.
Did anybody have to make new pieces?
Viktor actually made a new piece for us, which I was really excited about, because he's working on his solo exhibition with another gallery, and for him to take the time, he said, I have a new piece. Like, I want to make something for this show. And I said, okay, great. That's exciting, just to be able to, put some time aside to make a piece for something. Because with themes, when I look at exhibitions and when people try to curate based off of a theme, it doesn't necessarily mean that the artist wants to create for that. But if it's something that hits, then it makes sense. Because if somebody were to come at me with a theme, it might not make sense. But if I connect with it, then it's easy. And so with each of these artists, with Sek, he had a body of work that I connected with that made sense. And so we were able to work with that. And then even though we had shown this work, it was presented in a different way. And then we did an installation, which we didn't do for the last exhibition. And so there's different elements. And with each artist, it was the same thing. Maybe their work was shown previously or years ago, but it's in a different space, and so then you create a different narrative.
I always thought, like, you go up as a curator and you say, I have this show, I have this idea, make 8 pieces, done. For your
Artists
set.
aren't robots. Let me put that out there really quick. Is that if I came to Sek with an idea, I could ask him, but he might have a shit ton of other stuff coming up, so I have to be mindful of that. And I think as a curator, either you work with what you have or you work around the parameters that the artist is dealing with, because they're artists, they create, but you have to take into consideration the fact that they're fucking living beings and they have other shit going on. So either you work with that or you don't. It's pretty simple. Like, if you want to be a good curator, if you want to be someone that's moving through the art world, you want to be mindful of the fact that these artists aren't robots. They are living beings giving a huge part of themselves into their work and sharing that with people. And I try to be mindful of that. And I'm super grateful that Sek and I have known each other and we work together, and that other artists allow themselves to lend that work, because I understand how intimate that is, you know? It's taking a part of you and putting it in the space and telling a story, and then people are coming to see that. And I think sometimes we forget that people as
Well, I mean, when art is
viewers-
available at like IKEA,
Yeah, I mean,
you're like, oh, cool. There's a giant elephant.
yeah.
Yes.
We forget
A
though.
map
We
a
forget
map
the
of Brooklyn. Great.
we forget what the fucking artists went through to get
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
You really do. I mean, I've gone to plenty of open studios and art walks, and I come into a space and I thank people, and it's how I've created deeper friendships when I walk into a space and I say, hey, thanks for having me, and they look at me strange and they say, who are you? And I say, I'm whoever I am. But I understand that I'm entering a space that's sacred and intimate, just as if it were your home. And not a lot of people take the time to do that. So when you just take a moment to acknowledge that, I think it makes a difference. Like, hey, Sek, you're an artist, but can you do this? Like, do you have the emotional, mental, all that capacity to make this shit happen? Okay, cool, let's go. Versus just being like, you're an artist, you can do it. Like, just get it done.
It's crazy.
And you're like,
how
wait, I'm not a robot.
How
Right.
people think that I have to be in the mindset, or if I'm not, I need the time to get in the mindset and to like actually, like, I don't like doing stuff that's like half-assed or anything. Like if I feel like that my work is not, like, if I didn't put myself in the work, then I'd rather not show it at all. It's just not gonna happen. I'm not gonna hang myself for people on display for people to see me if it's gonna be half-assed. That's just not gonna happen. And then so yeah, for a lot of the times, like, you know, that people have asked is like, yo man, we're gonna do this show, do you want to do it? And if it resonates with me, if I can connect, then yeah. But if not, it's fine. I don't really, it's not, I just don't, if it's not for me, it's not for me, you know. And I'm happy to be like, look, I can't do it, but I know somebody that can, you know. I have a friend that's in this mindset,
Right.
or where in this, you know, yeah.
So even with that, like this dynamic, because I mean, you two know each other pretty well.
Oh yeah, we've been through some shit.
Right. Right. And even with that, it's still not like oh, you know, and I'm looking at you, Summer. Oh, hey, Sek, make this.
No, because
No.
no, I know we each know
Yeah.
that we have something going on.
Yeah.
So even for this exhibition, it made sense because he had some work.
I'm sorry, I keep hearing sexhibition.
I wish.
So I think for my
Exhibition.
next one, from now on, they're no longer my exhibitions. From now on, it's my sexhibitions.
Exhibition.
It's like, yeah. So
Yeah, all-
continue.
And all ages, by the way.
All ages. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Open
he
to
just
public.
he just told
1 through
my kid,
100 plus.
you know, his
I didn't.
theater
your-
sex story.
Yeah,
in
your
the
kid's
kitchen.
not gonna remember that sex story.
He might. I was thinking about that.
How?
What do you mean how?
I hate that
They're
you
like,
said that because
super
chances are it
impressionable.
is. He's like, oh, I want to go to the theater. He's like, no, mom, not this theater.
Not
I'm like,
this
"What the-
theater."
We're trying to show you Little Mermaid, bro. What are you doing?
Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
Hey, that was kinky though.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Disney had
Dude's
some
fucking a
freaky
fish.
things.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I get it, dude.
And that's why I ended up in that fucking theater. It's because of I grew up on Disney movies, bro. I grew up on Disney movies, and I was like, you know what? A porn theater? Yeah, that's one.
Old man built
Damn,
his
people are
own. Old man built his own kid. His little
82.
boy.
82.
That's what
Hey,
I'm
bro,
saying,
that's
dude.
a heartfelt story. No, I was kidding.
Oh yeah, all right. Because he fell in love with the little boy that he made. All right.
No, I
Real
mean,
heartfelt.
as I
He
grew,
was just lonely, bro. He's like, let it go.
So I'm gonna build a boy. Like, yeah, okay, Disney. All right, Walt.
All right, Walt.
Walt. I mean, you got to imagine that Walt okayed that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, you know, because me and Walt Disney, we go way back. I call him Walt by first name.
That's what I was gonna
Right.
tell you. I was like, oh yeah, Walt.
Yeah,
Oh,
Walt.
Walt.
Yeah,
Old Walt.
Walt
You know
Disney.
Walt.
You know
Yeah.
Walt. Dude, Walt
Yeah.
Disney. Homie.
Yo, Walt, we need you to
What's
prove
up?
something.
What's up? Hey, so there's this old guy. He's super lonely. So he built a boy.
Yeah, right. But he wants it to be real.
All right, you know, greenlit. Yeah, make. Yeah, go talk to the animators.
Oh, dude, I really loved that movie as a kid too. Sometimes all fucked, dude.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're coming out with a live
yeah.
action one, it just makes it that much better.
You're gonna go
Because they're
see
still
it.
approving it.
'Cause you're gonna go see it.
You know, it's like, look, man, we need you to reapprove this. It'll be in the
Where are we at?
cutscenes.
Yeah, I know. Well, we were talking about you two's relationship, but also the idea that you don't force it, right? Like
Yeah.
you've been
I
through
mean,
stuff,
because I understand that artists aren't robots.
right?
And
right.
so now the deeper that I dive into curatorial work and putting exhibitions together, I try to be incredibly mindful, and if there's a concept and it's something I believe in or a space like Altura, then I can make something happen. If I don't believe in the space or the project, then it's just not something that I want to participate in, because it's about evoking things that matter. And so when you come into the space, you see it for what it is, but then you dive deeper into how it makes you feel and what the artists are working with and where they're going. So yeah.
So, and the I mean, the idea that that's truth. I can attest to that. You have other projects coming up that are pretty big.
Yeah.
And the idea that you still lent your time and squeezed in a show at Altura, we appreciate so much. With that said, what do you have coming up next? What do you have in the future? What can you share?
There's an exhibition that we're doing with the Getty Villa, and it's with 69 artists that it's a big show. But
Well, that topic just keeps coming up, don't it? Never should have
It
told you
is.
guys that story.
69 artists. I was approached by an incredible curator, Joe Moniz, that I respect tremendously. That's done a lot of work here and abroad, and I'm a curatorial assistant for that project, and it basically means wrangling artists and trying to figure out the logistics between spaces and what the Getty Villa had in mind and what this curator brought to the table, which is not what you would think the Getty would have. And when you think of big institutions, you think big funding or, a lot of support, and it's not necessarily been that, which has been okay, because it really shows when community comes together and you just have these artists that are incredibly excited about an exhibition and making that work. And so that's the same thing that we're doing at Altura. You guys are a community-based organization, and we make things happen. Like, you have an idea and then you just make it work. And so that's the same thing with the projects that I'm working on. Is you might have big names, but it's really about the power behind them and the heart, So I'm working with people that have that same energy, that have that same credibility of really wanting to infect our communities with something more than just what's presented on the surface. Just going deeper into that.
When is it open?
In October through November.
Okay.
Well, actually September, October, November. We're rolling them out. You'll get the invite.
All right, cool. That's what I'm saying. It's like, do we get invited?
Yes.
Right, as long
Get
as we
invited.
go.
I just went to the Getty Center for
You're
the
my
first
date,
time.
Sek.
Oh, dope. Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh,
Date night.
All right.
Damn.
Adrian, you get to go too.
All right, cool. Triple D. Let's go.
Yeah, let's
Let's
go.
make this happen. And then for you, Sek, I mean, after this, are you working on stuff now? Where are you going? You just got back from Mexico City.
Yeah.
What do we got?
I'm working on a few things. I had a few projects lined up. There's a show that I really am excited to do, that I started with the aid of a collector, David Maxwell. He bought the tech to make some work happen.
Ooh.
And I wanted it to be at the end of this year, but because of life circumstances and life taking so many different turns, I have to push it back.
Right.
But that one will be called Saints and Sinners.
Okay. I'm intrigued by the tech aspect.
Yeah. It's I gave
how
a little
much can you
preview.
share?
Yeah,
I gave
you
a preview, at the
show
last
that we-
show. Not this last show, but the solo show that I did previous to that. And it was a glimpse of like the floating halos plus, some digital stuff. so that's been pushed to the side. I actually might go back to Mexico City and do a mural out there for Day of the Dead. And then Tokyo, I have a show in Tokyo with my friend Inari, which also was supposed to happen in October. And we were gonna have like this crazy ass like Halloween party. LA like meets Tokyo for Halloween, but they're actually requiring me to get a visa, so I have to like apply for that. So
everything gets pushed back.
Yeah, everything's getting pushed back, which is fine because I actually, and I'm still working on stuff. I haven't posted anything on social media. I just don't want to deal with social media right now. I kind of need some time to myself, and also I kind of am enjoying my life and where it's at now. I'm in a place in my life where I get to enjoy the fruits of my labor, and I have like this crazy, everybody knows I have this crazy work ethic. When I go into the studio, you won't see me for like 3 months because I've been working, but for now I kind of want to enjoy what I have. So I actually want to travel more. So this pushing back, actually, I'm gonna do a lot of more traveling and projects in other countries, side projects for myself, personal stuff. And then I get to kind of work on some art that's probably studio work that I want to dabble back in, and doing a lot more writing, and then learning piano. So because I'm actually like working on some music stuff, and maybe some film stuff that I got asked to do. But so I'm just waiting to see where that's going. That's with a friend, Vanessa, who I've worked with him before. He's actually based out of here in LA, but he spends a lot of time working in Hong Kong, and he's actually there right now. So once he gets back, I think we'll talk more about projects.
You're busy. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude. I literally have so many projects going on at once. And a lot of people and collectors are just like, yo, dude, we haven't heard from you or seen anything. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, dude.
Well, come to Altura. It's there.
Yeah, I was like,
stuff at Altura.
Yeah. And I've been terrible, like, at the whole social media thing, too, because social media for me has been, like, a shit show.
Right.
But
it's a shit show for everybody.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant place. So, like I said, I really want to take some time to travel and be culture shocked in different countries.
Cool.
And hopefully, I'm excited to show the stuff that I'm working on, but I'm also, like I said, I don't like to half-ass stuff. So I want to fine-tune some stuff before I actually put some stuff out there. And I do feel like I've been a little bit more tamed about how I've posted in the past, because I've also been a little bit more conscious about some of the stuff that I put out there, because I don't want it to reflect bad on like some of the galleries I've worked with, or like your curators that I worked with. But I'm definitely going to go back to being a little bit more unhinged, for sure. Being less censored and more vulgar about some of my fucking opinions and stuff like that. Just because I feel like I haven't had that chance to be myself, that part of myself.
That freedom.
Yeah, that freedom.
Right.
Because, shit changes once you grow up. You have to act right at some point.
Right.
I try, though, but yeah.
This sounds awesome. Well, you two, thank you so much for being part of the Altura podcast. I cannot thank you enough. I think this is like years, maybe a decade in the making.
It is a decade in the making.
For real.
But the idea that we get to do this, I feel like it's special. But thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, no, thank you for having us, and we'll
can't wait to see how much
on the next podcast. We're gonna continue this podcast, but it's gonna be more shenanigans and more Walt Disney talks.
Right, and bananigans and theaters.
Bananas,
bananas
and cakes.
And cake.
And 69s and sexhibitions.
Yeah. He's branding himself.
I am, dude. Sex sells.
I'm gonna go to the restroom. I'll be right back.
Nice.
Yeah, sex sells, man.
Thank you so much for joining us for the Altura podcast. We look forward to opening the mic to our friends and the community here in Nela. If you enjoyed the show, please tap that subscribe and like button. Without your time and support, we wouldn't be here. So please leave comments and slide into the DMs so we can evolve this program for you, our listeners. Feel free to connect with us beyond the pod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Once again, gracias.